bench press. All right, so when we talk about the bench press, there's a lot of different theories and thoughts on this depending on what your specific purpose is, whether it's a sports performance purpose, or if it's a powerlifting, or just a general strength purpose. So the way I like to do the bench press is more along the lines of the powerlifting version, but hybrid into that sports performance method, meaning that we're gonna have a slightly wider hand position than what some coaches will ask for. A lot of times you'll hear where the knurling mark starts, that you want about a thumb's width. And the reason we use that thumb is because the thumb is about 1.5 inches or so outside of the shoulders. Knurling generally stops at about where your shoulders are, so this is gonna ensure that our hands are outside of our shoulder position. As you go wider and wider down the bar, of course the range of motion is limited, which means you can lift more weight, but there's also a point where it gets harder. So it's like anything, there's a easier to harder curve. So we don't want our hands too wide because that's gonna be really hard to do, but we also don't want them too narrow because then it's not going to allow us to actually lift the most we could and get the most we can out of this movement. So if you have a power bar, most power bars these days have 2 knurling marks, an inside and an outside. The inside are the bench press marks, the outside are the Olympic lifting marks. So what I like to do when I do my setup is I put it so that way my ring finger is right around that knurling mark. Right? Now if I was a powerlifting person, I would think more about my index finger being on that mark, but we're gonna say ring finger around that mark. Then I'm gonna lift my feet close towards my butt. I'm gonna come up, and as I come up, I'm going to think about creating what's called a global arch through my back here. Now, a lot of times you see people do this, they're actually bending here at the lumbar. We wanna think about bending in the middle of our back, all right? So it's a nice global arch. That's gonna create a brace against the bench. So from here, pop the bar out, all right? Now, depending on how much weight you have, you can lift your hips up, pop, and then drop your butt, right? But your butt should be on the bench the whole time, feet pushing into the floor the whole time. From here, lower the bar down, press straight up.